The Los Angeles Lakers are significantly adding to their depth today in free agency, having signed nearly 7 or 8 players, I believe, since the start of free agency. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the signings that I have yet to talk about for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that consists of the re-signing of Taylor Horton-Tucker, the signing of Malik Monk, Kent Bazemore, Carmelo Anthony, and behind my face, Kendrick Nunn. So I'm adding to the old group that they have a couple in Kendrick Nunn and Malik Monk, as well as the re-signing of Taylor Horton-Tucker, ensuring that this group still has a little bit of youth and a little bit of pep in their step in some younger players. We're going to be talking about all of these signings and what they mean for the Los Angeles Lakers this season. So let's get right into it. Now, of course, they have added 2 vets in Kent Bazemore and Carmelo Anthony, and we know what the Lakers are going to get out of them. Kent Bazemore is going to be a good wing depth guy for them, a 3-and-D guy. Certainly someone who is not as good as he was a few years ago, but is still going to be a very valuable depth piece for this Lakers team, who might play a bit off the bench. He can be a good 3-and-D guy off the bench on the wing, similar to the role that Trevor Ariza will play for this team. And having good depth on forwards that can play 3-and-D roles is never something you can have too many of in a league that values 3-and-D wings enormously. Carmelo Anthony, we know what he can do. He's still one of the best ISO mid-range scorers in the game. Now, his defense, of course, has just only gotten worse with time. His three-point shooting has looked a bit more consistent last season. I don't know if the stats back me up on that, but he definitely looked like a more consistent three-point shooter. Hit a few more three-point shots. It's still not an elite one by any stretch, but it's something he's improved on. But still lethal from mid-range and will be a good scorer off the bench for this team, as he will finally get to play with LeBron James. Those are both on veteran minimum contracts, as that is all that the Lakers could sign those guys to. And Malik Monk is the most surprising of these signings to me, although Kendrick Nunn is a bit as well. And so we're going to talk about this one right now. I think it's a brilliant signing for the Lakers. Before we talk about the financial terms, brilliant signing. I think he's a true prototypical sixth man. He reminds me a lot of Jamal Crawford, even in that sense. He is a true sixth man to me. He's not a great playmaker. He's not really that guy. He's just going to go out, get you buckets. He is a bit ball dominant, but he knows how to put the ball in the bucket. He can be a bit inconsistent, but he's still only 23. Lots of room to grow, and I think he's going to be a very good bench scorer for this Los Angeles Lakers team. But the Charlotte Hornets renounced his rights. Did not extend the qualifying offer, did not make him a restricted free agent. And he has now joined the Lakers on what is a minimum deal worth under $1.8 million. Now, I find it hard to believe that this is the most money he could get. I am fairly confident that he could have gotten a lot more money from Charlotte or any other team. In fact, I know he could have got more money from Charlotte because the qualifying offer would have been a lot more than $1.8 million. With that being said, the fact that there is a 23-year-old currently in the league willing to take a pay cut to come to LA and try and win a title, prioritize that and not the money, fair play to Malik Monk. You would think you might want to get that financial security on that first deal out of your rookie deal, but he can do that next year. That's probably the mentality for him here. He's an unrestricted free agent now as of next season, as opposed to what would have been a restricted free agent this year if the Charlotte Hornets did put a qualifying offer out, but he wasn't an unrestricted free agent again this year. But he can come in now this year, try and get a ship with the Lakers, still probably play an important role off the bench for this Lakers team as a bench guard who can be relied on for them for a fair bit of scoring off the bench. But a nice cheap deal for the Lakers. Malik Monk tries to win a chip at 23. Something you do not see often, someone taking a pay cut to try and win a title at age 23. But I respect it from Malik Monk. Hopefully he earns his bag in the next couple of summers. But a good shot for him to win a title early on in his career this year. And then Kendrick Nunn. Miami Heat did initially retain him via making him an RFA and extending the qualifying offer. But then they renounced his rights earlier today. And the Lakers did not take long to swoop him up on what is a $10 million 2-year deal. This is very cheap for Kendrick Nunn. I thought he was going to get a lot more than this. Now, I'm not saying that he's some elite point guard or that he's a star point guard or a future star point guard, but he knows how to score the basketball, and he does have a little bit of playmaking ability and can be a decent defensive point guard as well when he wants to be. But the Lakers, again, I feel like this has to be a pay cut. A 2-year deal at $5 million a year. I get the feeling that Miami probably would have offered him more. I get the feeling that other teams in the league probably would have offered him more. But instead, he takes a 2-year deal at $10 million to come and join the Los Angeles Lakers, and he will be a very good backup point guard for them. Can give them a bit of scoring, a little bit of defense at the point guard spot, and gives them a bit of youth alongside Malik Monk. And then finally, the signing of Taylor Horton-Tucker. Well, I think the Lakers do pretty well here. to sign on a 3-year deal worth $32 million. They get him on a little bit over $10 million a season, and I think that's a brilliant deal for Talen Horton-Tucker. I think he has a lot of potential, and he's going to serve a very important role on this Lakers team moving forward. Whether that is as a starter this year or not remains to be seen, but I think he's going to be a very crucial member of the Lakers moving forward. One of the few young pieces they have on this team, and that makes him extremely valuable. The potential on him is very high. He is still only 20 years old and has shown very promising flashes. So I think that being able to retain him for 3 more years is definitely a good signing for the Lakers. As far as I'm concerned, this has to be one of the favorites to win the NBA title next season. They've added a lot of good depth. They are very good on the top with LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and AD. They've added some good shooters around them. Will their stars not, all 3 of their stars not having great 3-point shots hurt them? That remains to be seen. But I think they've added good pieces, good 3-and-D guys who can get them buckets off the bench, Kendrick, Nunn, and Malik Monk. THT has been re-signed. They have a very good, veteran-led group that can bring a lot of experience to the table that will all be heavily motivated to win a title. That is my thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers signings in the last 24 hours and their free agency so far as a whole, as well as whether I think they can be a contender next season. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want to hear my thoughts on all of the other free agency moves that have happened so far, then be sure to click the box on the right-hand side of your screen. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one.